Imagine being cast out by your tribe, betrayed by everyone you trusted. You barely escape with your life, only to fall into the deepest place in the world, the abyss. Surrounded by deadly monsters, you unleash your last magic, and suddenly a level 99 warrior appears before you. From that moment, the legend of your revenge against the traitors begins. Our episode begins with this super cool anime. This is the start. There was nothing. The world was pitch black emptiness, inhabited only by demons and jinn. There were no humans. After that, different races appeared. The dragon race, fairies, oni, dwarves, the demon race, dark fairies, centaurs, the monster race, and finally, humans. The scene shifts to a beautiful village. We see Light bidding a warm farewell to his parents, his brother Ellis, and his sister Yumi. He promised them he would become a formidable, very high-ranking adventurer, that he'd support them and make them rich. The scene moves to when he was in another city, perhaps lost. But at that very moment, a member of the monster race approaches him and says, "Beat it, human, you should stay out of our way, or we'll kill you." Light apologizes to him and continues on his way until he reaches the guild. Now it's his turn. A girl from the guild welcomes him and asks if this is his first day registering. He confirms, "Yes, it's my first time registering in my life. My name is Light." She starts writing his registration form and tells him, "You're rank F, the lowest rank. Since this is your first time, but tell me, do you have any skills?" He replies, "Yes, of course, I do." She says, "Show me then. Let's see." He informs her that it's the skill of infinite gacha. "I'll explain now," he says. A star comes out of his hand, he starts spinning it, and then a card appears. It has a thorn on it, but when he pulls it out, it's unfortunately a bent thorn. He tells her, "Don't be shocked. Wait. I'll try again." He tries once, twice, a third time. He pulls out a rotten apple and moldy bread. She says to him, mockingly, "Well, your talent is clearly very good." He tells her, "Do whatever you want." And with that, she hands him the rank F card, the lowest rank. Before leaving, he asks her if there's any work he can start right away. She says, "Look, buddy, the easiest jobs are posted on that bulletin board over there." He looks at the board, but his face changes. She says, "I have a feeling you can't read." "Unfortunately, yes, I can't read. I'm illiterate," he admits. "Don't worry about it," she says. "In that case, there's gathering firewood, moving trays, and cutting grass. Farm work, basically." He says, "Anything, as long as I can work and earn money." After that, Light adapts to his job. He carries stones, fills the cart, and works very hard, strenuous labor. He returns at the end of the day with a small amount of money. Despite his huge effort, the money is little. But that's how the world works. You work hard, you get a small amount of money. You do easy work, you get lots of money. A world where everything is backwards. This money is barely enough for me to afford lodging tonight. But then, a great disaster happens. A group of monsters confronts him. What do you expect them to do to him? Please pause the video and write your answer in the comments. One of the monsters bumps into him and says, "Are you stupid? Watch where you're going." "I'm sorry, I really didn't notice," he replies. "No, my dear," they say. "You've dirtied my clothes. Who's going to wash them now? Look, I'll take this money. It's barely enough for my laundry bill." Light gets angry and says, "Please, give me back my money. That's my money and I worked hard for it all day. I won't be able to stay the night without it." But the monster hits him with a powerful blow, knocking him to the ground, and then says, "Be grateful if you can even rent a pigsty with that amount. Now get out of our sight. To let you go, we have to take this money. Come on guys, let's take the money and go get a drink." Light was very sad and couldn't do anything. At that moment, he sees a group of elves, and one extends a hand to him, checking on him. He is startled. She says, "Don't worry, I won't hurt or harm you." Then she gives him a brotherly hug, to the point where he thinks to himself, did this fairy or elf get her knees muddy just to come down and hug me? Am I dreaming or what? She says, "Oh, don't worry, you're awake. Seriously, come on, get up." Then he sees the group. They belong to a troop called the Alliance of Tribes, a group that includes the 9 races we talked about at the beginning of the episode. The wolf speaks to him, saying, "I, for example, am from the monster race. My name is Garo, and that girl who extended her hand is Sasha from the dwarves. There are other people too, a dragon, a demon, the dwarf with the beard, Nano, the girl named Sioni from the Dark Jinn, and the red man, Centaur. All we need now is a human to complete our squad. We formed this group pursuing a noble cause. We want to put an end to racial discrimination and create a fair world for everyone." First, my friends, if you are followers of the Madra Recaps channel, write in the comments what country you are from. If you are not a follower of Madra Recaps, follow the channel, then write "done" in the comments, and also what country you are from. They continue their conversation, saying, "We need someone like you to join us." Light is very happy with this beautiful idea. After that, the scene shifts to Light, with the group of monsters. The dragon quickly rescues him, another monster attacks him, but another girl, yes, Sasha, saves him. She says, "What's the matter, buddy? I can't take my eyes off you for a minute. We're in the abyss, the darkest place on Earth. You'll die instantly if anything hits you here. I'll protect you, don't worry." But the rest of the squad gathers and teases her, saying, "Sasha can't stop herself from focusing on Light. All the blood is rushing to her cheeks. Look how red her face is." She says, "That's not true. I just don't want anyone in the squad to be lost." The dragon speaks to him and says, "It's okay. Isn't it enough that you can do one thing? It's enough that you'll do something for us and cook for the squad. That's all we want. Now let's get going. We have a long way ahead of us." They continue on their way and then suddenly stop at a place to rest. Light goes to prepare tea for them. One of them comes to him and says, "Light, wait. I'll bring the tea right away." "Haha," the monster informs him. "That won't be necessary. You will be exiled from this squad now. But why? What did I do? Light asks. That's just the way it is. You will be exiled from the squad. You're not coming with us. Don't you hear? You've become useless to us now. You don't have the abilities we do, and you'll hold us back. Sasha, the girl who was kind to him, says, "This boy is so stupid. He makes me feel sad." Everyone agrees to get rid of him and exile him from the squad. Everyone is mocking him. "You must be kidding. Tell me you're kidding," he pleads. They reply, "Is this the time to joke with a despicable and stupid human like you? But I'm not stupid. You were very kind to me just a little while ago. What happened now?" Garo says to him, "Buddy, we were pretending and deceiving you, you foolish idiot. Unfortunately, you're not useful for anything. When we saw your talent, we thought this kid would benefit us, but unfortunately, it's useless. Look, we've talked to you a lot. Now it's time for the end. You won't speak much anymore." The dragon orders Garo to eliminate him immediately. This means they will banish him from existence, and Garo will take care of it. Garo sharpens his very strong gleaming claws and tries to shred his face, which is now smeared with blood. Light is completely shocked, standing in front of these monsters, terrified. He runs quickly, but they say to him, "Run all you want. You'll only end up as ground meat for some monsters in the abyss." Then Sasha, the girl who had befriended him from the beginning and hugged him, shoots an arrow into his leg. And this, my friends, teaches us never to trust anyone, no matter the circumstances. The arrow pierces his leg, and he falls to the ground, crying and screaming from the intense pain. Garo then hits him with a very powerful blow that nearly knocks the breath out of him and begins kicking him. The dragon tells Garo, "That's enough. Finish him off with one strike." Light tries to move and tries to resist death. He clings to life even though he knows he's going to die inevitably. And indeed, my friends, something strange happens and an instantaneous teleportation circle activates. Garo tries to strike him quickly before he can escape, but the circle activates swiftly, and he teleports to another place. Perhaps a place even harsher than where he was. Light could barely believe he was still alive. The instant teleportation trap activated at the last moment, sending him to another part of this labyrinth. He began to cry, remembering his father, mother, and siblings. He missed them all. He thought back to the group of monsters who invited him to their team, how well they treated him and how much kindness they showed. I respected them, believed in them, and was so happy about it. And yet, it was all just a lie. They deceived me into joining an expedition into the labyrinth, then tried to kill me, treating me like trash, with huge mocking grins on their faces, talking about some nonsense. I don't even know what maestro they were talking about. I'll kill them all. I will have my revenge. They hurt me so much. They will all pay. I will not die here. I swear I will rip out their guts. Suddenly, huge rocky monsters appear. They are level 1000. Light is terrified, as these are the kind of monsters you only hear about in folktales. He realizes he has truly been sent to the deepest part of the abyss in this labyrinth. Despite the monsters advancing and preparing to attack, he is determined to fight and not surrender. He frantically searches for a solution to fight this thing and tries to activate his gacha repeatedly, but it doesn't respond. He insists on activating it, just to escape those villains. Suddenly, the gacha activates, emitting a brilliant light. Many magical gates open from it, instantly eliminating the monsters on the spot. A voice says, "I will not allow anyone to harm my master, no matter the cost." Then, a beautiful girl bows to her master, Light. She begins to heal his wounds and apologizes, saying, "She could not bear to see your handsome face wounded this way, my lord. I have taken it upon myself to be your caretaker, my lord." Light is surprised that he no longer feels any pain. He stands up, the agony completely gone, and can barely believe it. The girl introduces herself, and he tells her his name is Light. She replies, "Master Light, Lord of Light." That name sounds grand and celestial to the ear. According to the maid's code of honor, I am bound by duty to my master, Light, Lord of Light. I shall live in your service, devoted until death, and I pledge my absolute loyalty to you. Light is completely astonished and asks, "Where exactly did you come from?" She informs him that her level is 9,999, and she is known as May, the ever-searching maid. "I am an extremely rare card that emerged from your limited Master Light gacha. I will remain bound to you even after death." Light is highly perplexed. "But my unlimited gacha is worthless. There's no way someone as magnificent as you could come out of it, miss." The maid asks him to call her May, without any titles. Light does so, which makes her very happy. She then asks him for another favor. "To use my ability, my innate skill is appraisal. Specifically, it is impossible for your gift to be worthless, my lord. Please allow me to appraise it." Light gives her permission. May performs the appraisal and can barely believe it. She explains that her master's abilities are hidden beneath a thick layer of concealment. "It's impossible for anyone who is not at my level to see the details." She then tells him, "Your special power is not worthless at all. Your gacha has an infinite number of pathways. The gift you receive has probabilities and card rarities that vary based on the density of surrounding mana. Mana is something that flows everywhere throughout the world. However, its density is at its lowest on the surface. This means that the chance of an extremely rare card like me appearing is close to zero. But mana is abundant here, in the depths of this labyrinth. This means you have much better chances of obtaining a rare card. You are very brave, my lord, to have traveled all the way down to the bottom of this labyrinth alone. However, encountering any monster could be fatal, given your current statistics. But fear not. I shall always be with you from now on." Light cuts her off, saying, "You are wrong. I never intended to face the abyss alone." He starts crying, remembering being with the treacherous team. "They all betrayed me. I was cut and shot with arrows. I was nearly killed by people I thought were my friends. They said my gift was bad and called me a pathetic human. All I wanted was to provide for my family. How could they treat me this way just because I'm human? The pain was unbearable, it hurt so much, and all that talk about ending discrimination and creating a normal world, they just wanted to fool me. It's insane. They were so kind one moment, but then they turned into evil murderers. They will all pay the price. I won't rest until they get what they deserve. Tears stream from his eyes. He is consumed by rage. May embraces him and he calms down. The maid apologizes for everything that happened and reassures him. With my power available to you at any time, I shall make them regret the day they were born. I will inflict a severe punishment upon them. It is an easy matter for me. Please, issue the command and I will do everything you ask. I will hunt down those deceitful heathens with all speed and bring their heads to you on spears, my lord. Light asks her to wait and show them mercy, but May, knowing her master's kind heart, tells him, they do not deserve mercy, my lord. Light replies, I put my trust in them and they deceived me, and I nearly died after being severely beaten and dragged to this hell, but this is only because I was weak. So I need to become stronger. Perhaps it's impossible for a human like me, but I want to take my revenge with my own hands, and I will make them all suffer. Do you think that is a pipe dream? May. She bows to him and grants her master this wish. If personal revenge is what you seek, my lord, it is my honor to assist you in achieving it. I believe in your potential more than anything else, my lord. Light is very happy with her words. He begins to activate his gacha again in this mana-filled location to establish a kingdom capable of paving the way for his revenge. The black depths were flooded with bright light, and the first page in his great tale of revenge had begun. Wait for us in the next episode, a very exciting episode of this anime. What will Light do to those traitors and deceivers? Before you leave this video, please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. 3 years went by in this place and Light had created a kingdom of his own in this abyss. Every maid were a fangirl of Light, and that just irritated me so much, but Light told to mind them and goes around his land on a survey. There were many stores and people living here and everyone respects Light. He's the ruler here and he takes care of them like their safety and their necessities. After that survey, he asked about others and May said Aoyuki is currently creating a map of the abyss and the surface, and she reported nothing unusual. And then comes the mage, Lady Ellie, who's been developing new magic for Light's plan, and it was also in good flow. He's dumb and she's doing the patrol duty of the castle right now. With that, he arrived to meet Jack, another powerful summon, and he gets too casual with Light. But Light never minds, because he saw Jack as an older brother. In this 3 years, Jack has trained Light in close quarters and turned him into a pure monster. By the way, Nozuna was really doing her job and met the 4 maids on the way. She was happy to carry out Light's work and maids started praising her for such honest work. Nuna is easily manipulated, so the maids asked for a favor. Then she went to a place that was off limits to other maids, and she found May in that place. May was cleaning up Light's room, but Nuna went inside and saw the bedsheet was a mess, and by the looks of it, she was sniffing it. But Nozuna is too pure, or rather, too naive to understand this sort of things. That's why May came up with some stupid reason and she believed her words. But then she remembers the message those 4 mates sent. It says, stop monopolizing Master Light's room because they also want equal rights, you tyrant May. But the last part was hard for Nozuna to understand. But May got it fully. It was the curse words and May decided to punish them. But first, she gives a few penny to Nuna to send her away like a kid. She quickly went to snack stores to buy some dorayaki and milk, but on the way, she found Ayuki. Ayuki was supposed to be on the surface, but she did already. Awe Yuki had the habit of mimicking a cat, so it's hard to converse with her sometimes. But when Nozuna said she could depend on her, she instantly pulled out her report to show she can do anything on her own. With that, Nozuna continued her duties and came to the throne room. There she got all clingy with Light's throne, but in emotional flow, she accidentally broke the side wing of his throne, so she swiftly ran off after putting it back. Meanwhile, Light went to bath with Jack after a tiring session of fighting, which implies Light is now completely ready to return to the surface to exact his revenge. After that, May called in the 4 who sent that complaint through Nozuna, and she was calm, or rather, she was trying to stay calm. But the 4 said they just wanted to lighten her workload in their own way. But May remembers the last part of their complaint. It wasn't friendly at all, and worse, they sent it through Nozuna. Now they all started to blame each other, but in any case, May assigned them to clean the whole hallway till the throne room with hand. Besides, she has to go to the surface soon, so she told them to work in her absence. In the meantime, Nozuna meets with Ellie, and her work was proceeding smoothly, so she had some spare time on hand. Ellie always picks on Nozuna, so she tries to prove how smart she is, but Nozuna knew she knows nothing about surrounding, and that caused a scene. And then Ellie said how she wants to invite Light to her room for dinner. Nozuna is too pure that she doesn't understand it all. She literally thought Ellie meant dinner only. So after that, Nozuna tried to show she also has an upper hand. Ellie is a mage, so she's not good in close combat, and asks to rely on her. Even Ellie can't be mad on such a pure lady. And that's how she goes away to resume her patrol duty. But somewhere in the castle, 4 mites were still frustrated how May was hogging Light all for herself. They wanted to get fair treatment, but May is way stronger than them. They also want to go to Light's room and go through all of his belongings and bed as well, but one of them was weird with her taste, because she wanted to use the same utensils as Light. The other 3 found it creepy, but they also want to do the same. But their biggest obstacles is May. After all, she's the summon Light pulled, so they can't do much, but it reminds them that the second gacha pull took 3 months, which means May was all alone with Light in this dungeon. Their fantasy ran wild, and May heard all of their nonsense from outside, even the part where they were praying for her death. So one by one, everyone took a U-turn and said they're always loyal to her, to sugarcoat her. But still, May said that 3 months when they were alone, Light was always working hard, so they didn't do anything they were thinking about. But besides that, Mei added another punishment to this for a clean throne room as well. So when they were in the throne room, cleaning it up, the part Nazuna broke fell down and they thought it was their mistake. But the real culprit was relaxing at night in her room. But the next day, it was time for them to head back on the surface. And watching Light being chummy with Aoki Ellie also tried to hit on him. But a hellhound appears there, and the trauma from 3 years ago still shakes up Light, watching that girls got so ticked that they decided to wipe out the entire hellhound breed. But Light calms him down since he's okay. And furthermore, it's time to put their plan into motion. And that's how the hunt for revenge starts. And right there, our episode ends. But stay tuned to watch more of its episode, and for that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Our episode begins with the monster Garu's procession, with his followers through the city center. As their champion, everyone greeted him with overwhelming joy, glorifying him like a king. One of the monsters behind him even offered him his sister's hand in marriage, but Garu paid him no attention, as his current interests were far beyond that. At that moment, Garu spotted a miserable human boy scavenging for food in the trash. Instead of ignoring him, he deliberately walked towards him and struck him with his foot, knocking him to the ground. Garu enjoyed bullying and humiliating the boy, before gathering his crew and heading to a private room. In the room, the followers began to exult and praise Garu, as was their custom. One of them said, "You are a miracle, Garu. You rose from the poor monster district and became the closest candidate for the new leadership." Another added, "Even the current leader recognizes your strength." They asked him how he reached such a position. Garu puffed up with pride and said, "All I do is follow my animalistic instinct, which always guides me to the best traits. Like the mission I took 3 years ago. The requirement was to pretend affiliation with the racial unification group and eliminate a human suspected of possessing mysterious power." He continued coldly, "I didn't care to confirm his death, as his weakness guaranteed his demise after what he suffered. It's best to forget that wretch." Suddenly, the door opened and a very elegant girl entered. It was Mei. She asked in a calm voice, "Are you Garu? I want to ask you about someone named Light." His men shouted at her, but Garu raised his hand and said, "Leave her. I want to know what she wants." Mei said, "I am the servant of Mr. Light, and I have come from a distant country searching for him. My master is from a large and noble family, and I have served him for a long time." Garu doubted her words, thinking, "This doesn't align with the search information done by those who hired me. It was never mentioned that he was from a noble family." But the girl's appearance indeed suggested wealth. Garu smiled and said, "All right. What exactly is your request?" Mei said, "I received news that Mr. Light died in the dungeon about 3 years ago. I want you to take me to the place of his death to pay my respects, and I will give you pure gold in return." Garu smelled treachery, wondering why she would pay so much gold to visit an old place. But when he looked at her, he found her to be just a weak human, so he laughed inwardly and said out loud, "I will help you, not for the money, but because Light was my friend and I want to honor him." Mei smiled inwardly with cunning, knowing he was lying, and thanked him and expressed her gratitude. After a full month of travel, they finally reached the place of Light's disappearance. However, Garu was planning to attack Mei and leave her to die the same way Light had died. As soon as they arrived, Mei knelt on the ground, tears falling, imagining the difficult moments Light endured in the dungeon's darkness. Garu began his performance. The poor fellow was suddenly attacked by a monster and fell into a transfer trap before we could save him. At the same time, his men quietly moved to close the exit, preparing for the attack, but before they could attack, Mei said in a voice full of rage, "If I had been with Mr. Light from the start, he would not have been betrayed and fallen into the hands of scum like you." Garu froze and stepped back. "How does she know these details of the betrayal?" he yelled at her. "How do you know this? You're a spy." Mei breathed angrily and said, "How dare you compare me to them? I am Mr. Light's servant, and the penalty for anyone who doubts my loyalty is death." Garu felt a sudden terror. This ordinary human was emitting a terrifying aura that made his animalistic instinct scream to run. Mei was about to turn into a massacre, but a calm voice came from behind her. "Enough, Mei. Leave him. He is my prey." But Garu and his men stiffened in place. They hadn't felt anyone approach. When they looked, they found Light standing before them. Garu's eyes widened in disbelief. "Impossible. How is Light alive?" Light looked at him coldly and said, "I came back to take my due with my own hands, Garu." Garu burst out laughing. "You? The weak one? I am now at level 150, and you are at level 15? How will you even touch me?" He believed that killing Light would make him the greatest champion for the leader. Light said calmly, "Don't you want to ask me how I survived?" Garu laughed sarcastically. "Surely this lady rescued you after your transfer." Which was actually true. Garu yelled at his men to attack. 2 of them quickly lunged, but their heads flew off in an instant. The rest of the men froze in terror, unable even to see Mei as she finished them off. Light said to Mei calmly, "Thank you, but from here on, I'll take care of everything. Guard the exit, and don't let anyone escape." Garu tried to compose himself and said to his remaining men, "Don't worry, we won't be defeated by a few weak humans." Light laughed and said, "The one who says this is the weakest of you?" Garu snapped, "That's nonsense. Humans are the weakest beings and have no power." Light raised an eyebrow. "Then how are the heads of 2 of your strongest men rolling now?" Garu ignored him. That was their mistake and stupidity, and he yelled, "Let's go for him." They all rushed at once, but Light didn't move. In seconds, he finished them off, one by one with a single blow. Garu fell to the ground, disbelieving. Light stood over him and said, "Is this your strength? You are nothing. You think you are superior to humans? You are worthless." Garu decided to use his last card. he broke a contract on his neck, and a huge light burst out, revealing a giant Fenrir-type monster, level 500. Garou screamed confidently, "This is your end, Light. This monster will wipe you out of existence with a single breath." Light stood before him with strange composure and smiled. "Level 500? Still very weak for me." Garou was terrified. "Are you insane? It's impossible for you to defeat it. Kneel and beg for mercy." Light said, "All right, let me show you the difference. I won't move from my spot. Hit me with your strongest attack." Garou yelled at the monster to attack. The monster moved and unleashed a massive energy, a devastating attack called Killer Beast Howl, capable of destroying an entire fortress. The explosion was terrifying and dust covered the area. Garou laughed maniacally, but when the smoke began to clear, his face froze. Light was standing in his place, without a single scratch or a hair moved. Light said with a quiet, sarcastic tone, "This is the attack you were excited about? It's not even enough to warm the air around me." He looked at the monster and said, "You call this weak creature Fenrir? It's barely a small dog." Light extended his hand and pulled out a magic card. "Now let me show you what a true Fenrir looks like." He opened the card, and a massive vortex appeared, out of which an ancient, gigantic wolf emerged, its eye glowing blue, its power freezing the air. He said, "This is the true monster, level 9,000. Garou was paralyzed in his spot. When the wolf looked towards Garou's Fenrir, it took a single breath, and the monster Garou summoned froze instantly and shattered like ice. Garou stood petrified, disbelieving. He said in fear, "This is impossible. What is this monster?" Light said calmly, "Don't worry, it was just a small demonstration. I could have finished your monster with my hand." Then he pointed to the status screen open before him. Garou looked and his face changed, his hand trembling. Light's level was 9999. He screamed in disbelief, "This isn't real. There is no level that reaches this number." He swallowed hard and said with tears and fear, "You can't be Light, you are a devil." Light approached him and said, "Does it matter to you whether I am Light or not? In the end, your fate is the same." Garou completely lost hope, threw down his weapon and fell to his knees, pleading, "Please forgive me, I was following orders. You are the true king of magic, please let me live." Light looked coldly and said, "Before I decide, I have questions you must answer truthfully." Garou agreed immediately. Light said, "First, why did your superiors order you to search for people named the Masters?" Garou was confused. "I don't know who the Masters are. I was following orders." Light said, "Then why, after they confirmed I was not one of them, did they decide to kill me?" Garou said fearfully, "They were orders from above. Your existence must be completely erased, but I don't know the reason." Light was silent for a moment, then looked at Garou's followers and asked them, "Do you know anything about the Masters?" They all replied at the same moment, "Yes, we know." May moved at lightning speed and sliced them all with her sword, saying in a terrifying voice, "The punishment for liars before Light is death." Light looked at Garou and said calmly, "One last question before I decide your fate. If you lie, May knows the truth, and your end will be worse than death." Garou felt frozen. Light said, "Since you have a strong sense, do you think I can win any war against the kings outside the dungeon now?" Garou hesitated and was stressed, but finally said, "With your power, you might win the beginning, but you will lose. You are alone. War is armies and numbers, and in the end you will be defeated." Light smiled, certain of his answer, and said, "You're right. But let me show you something that will change your mind." He extended his hand and pulled out a magic card, and light covered the area. When Garou opened his eyes, he found himself in a huge throne room with many armies before him. He was terrified. Then he saw Light's true army, thousands of fighters in regular ranks. Light walked toward the throne and said loudly, "Display your levels." The soldiers showed their energy. Garou was paralyzed when he saw the numbers. Most of them were above level 5,000, and the weakest was 1,500. He stammered, "The whole level is above 5,000. Even the weakest of them is stronger than all our soldiers," Light said confidently. "And now, Garou, after seeing my army with your own eyes, do you still think a war against the kings is impossible?" Garou could not reply, his face twisted with fear. He said, "You won't just defeat them. You'll make a shawarma out of them too." Light smiled coldly. "I was sure of that. Now that you've confirmed with your own eyes that victory is easy for me." He approached him, his voice heavy like a devil's echo. "Since you were honest with me, I will reward you for your honesty." Garou's face lit up with hope. "You'll forgive me then," Light chuckled lightly. "Of course, it's impossible for me to forgive you, Garou." Then his tone darkened. "I won't kill you, because killing you is a great mercy. I will make you live, but you will wish for death every moment." And he ordered his soldiers to prepare to go to the surface. So, what is our hero planning, and what is the punishment he has prepared for Garou? If you are excited, champion, for the continuation of the events, don't forget to support us with a like and subscription. Tanisha, a young princess born without magic, lost her mother and was left in the hands of a cruel father who despises her and seeks her death. Yet, she holds a power far greater than any spell, the ability to see her tragic fate at the hands of her tyrant father. But will she find a way to escape this dark destiny, or is her future already sealed? Our story begins on a stormy night, with the birth of the little princess, whom her mother named Athanasia, meaning immortality. The little girl was born without any magical power, but when her mother kissed her, a magic circle appeared on her forehead. The mother then wept and passed away. The servants quickly gathered because of an order from His Majesty the Emperor to gather all the possessions of his wife Diana in the palace and burn them without a trace. He commanded them never to mention his newborn daughter's name in front of him, as he had never loved his wife. Several days pass. We see the servants in the palace with the young Princess Athanasia, but they don't care for her much. The hungry little princess falls asleep and enters a magical dream world filled with magic circles. She approaches a magic crystal with a book inside. When she draws close and bites the crystal, it breaks, and the magic book emerges. As she opens it, Athanasia hears her mother's voice telling her, "Take care of yourself, this is your future." She then sees a glimpse of her future as a young princess, standing in the palace before her father and everyone, being put on trial for violating the decree and using a black magician to plot her father, the emperor's, assassination. Athanasia cries intensely, telling her father it didn't happen, and that they are mistaken, as all she ever wanted was his love. She begs him to save her. Her father, the emperor, tells her that she is not his daughter and that he has never loved her, then leaves, ordering them to imprison her forever. We return to reality. Athanasia wakes up, crying hysterically, and thinks to herself, "This cannot be my future." The maid, Lillian York, immediately rushes in, holds her, and tries to calm her down. Princess Athanasia thinks to herself that Lillian is the only one who comforts her. She is a count's daughter and her mother's friend, who gave up her life in a noble family to come to the palace as a maid to care for Athanasia. Without her, Athanasia would have been left to starve. She says to herself, "I'm just an infant princess, yet I know my future. Will anyone believe me?" All she knows now is that this is a world of magic, and every noble can use it. According to the legend, there is a tower that is the source of all magic, where a great magician resides, of whom it's said that it would be easy for him to erase the empire. However, the one with even more amazing magical powers is the emperor, her father. But Athanasia sees him as an unjust emperor, who banished and imprisoned her for a crime she didn't commit in her future dream. Athanasia tries to sleep again, but wakes up crying, seeing the same nightmare, and determined that this will never be her future. 3 years pass. We see the servants cleaning the palace. A new maid talks to an older one, saying she didn't expect the Ruby Palace to be so lively, as she'd heard the atmosphere there was always gloomy. She mentions she came to the palace to care for the princess, whom she heard was very lovely, and is eager to meet her. We see Princess Athanasia in her room, surrounded by many books. She looks out the window and asks the servants where they are going. A maid tells her that the flowers have bloomed beautifully, so they are going to tend to them. The princess gets excited and goes with them to help. She puts on working clothes and helps them with the decorations. While walking through the palace, she sees the new maid standing by one of the palace room doors, seemingly searching for something. Athanasia approaches and asks her what she's doing. The maid, nervously, says she is new and got lost. She looks at Athanasia and mistakes her for the gardener's daughter, not knowing she is Princess Athanasia. Athanasia asks her where she wants to go. The maid says she wants to go to a place full of shiny gold. Athanasia suggests the place with the golden wheat, golden bread, or sunflowers. The maid gets angry and tells her she means shiny precious things. Athanasia informs her that valuable things are kept where people cannot see them and asks the maid to follow her. They arrive at the kitchen and stand outside. The maid asks Athanasia, "Are you mocking me, little girl? Does it make sense to keep valuables in the kitchen?" Athanasia explains that the Ruby Palace has been abandoned for years, so even if there were valuable items, they would have been taken out a long time ago. The maid then asks about the emperor. Athanasia tells her that His Majesty is too busy to care about them. They see the maid Hannah come out with a tray of sweets. When the new maid sees it, her eyes light up because the tray is decorated with real, genuine gemstones. She asks how Athanasia can get into the kitchen. Athanasia tells her to wait a moment, then goes to maid Hannah and asks for a few sweets. Maid Hannah agrees. Just as she is about to give her the sweets, Maid Says approaches and tells Hannah that it is not permissible to give Princess Athanasia things without permission. Athanasia approaches Shays and pleads with her. Maid Says is softened by her cuteness and gives her the entire tray of sweets, telling her not to tell Maid Lillian. Athanasia takes the sweets and goes with the new maid to the kitchen. When the maid sees the golden plates and spoons, her eyes gleam, and she tries to steal them. She gathers many golden objects and even removes the gemstones from the serving dishes, filling her bag. However, Princess Athanasia notices this, takes the stolen items from her, and tells her that it all belongs to her. The maid takes a knife and approaches Athanasia, chasing her. The princess quickly tries to escape, then unties a rope of a chandelier, causing it to fall on the thief maid. Many servants rush towards the kitchen to check on the little princess. The guards take the thief away, and they leave. At night, Maid Lillian is brushing the little princess's hair and tells her she was very worried about her today because of the thief maid. The princess tells her she is fine, gives her a flower, and thanks her. In the middle of the night, Maid Lillian, when it's bedtime, the princess sleeps in her bed and Maid Lillian leaves the room. The princess speaks to herself, saying, "I'm glad you're safe, Lillian. That's thanks to the prophetic dream I had. If I hadn't done that today, Lillian would have caught the maid and the thief would have stabbed her in the stomach, and Lillian would have died." She continues, "My name is Athanasia, the magical princess who cannot use magic. But I have a secret. I can see my own future. As for my father, he never loved me, and I believe that this terrible dream is likely my destiny. But I do not intend to simply accept it." The scene shifts to His Majesty the Emperor's palace. A guard enters his room with a correspondence, informing him that, according to the knight's reports, a thief entered the Ruby Palace and attacked the little princess, but she managed to handle the matter herself and the thief was captured. The Emperor gets angry and tells the guard he doesn't want to hear those details. The scene then moves to a strange man who wakes up and says, "Who is this who dares to deny the destiny of the Obelian Empire?" He then looks towards the palace. The scene shifts to the servants, perhaps at the royal palace, while Anastasia observes the events from afar. Due to the incident with the thief, the number of people in the kitchen has increased. It will now be very difficult to enter. She says to herself, I won't let anything like this make me lose my real hope of collecting money. She loves gold or shiny things a lot. She had taken many golden dolls. At that moment, she enters and speaks to the servants, saying, Good evening. I would like to eat some chocolate, please. All the girls are astonished and very happy that she is asking for something. Indeed, in just a few moments, they prepare the chocolate for her. Everyone was happy with her presence, as she is a beautiful and pleasant girl. The scene moves to Anastasia as she is eating the sweet treat next to the fountain and talking to herself about her dream boy, speculating she might meet him when she turns 19, or perhaps even sooner. My luck will be wonderful, I think, she concludes. Then she remembers Layla and says, I will take Layla with me. I will never leave her. At that moment, the chocolate drips onto her and stains her clothes, so she decides to wash herself in the fountain. Layla waits the sunrise and heads out to visit her new house in the cove. The water is hot and deadly, so she decides to wash herself in the... Unfortunately, she nearly falls. She looks at her reflection in the water and remembers people's words when they told her that she looks very much like her mother, while her eyes resemble her father's. However, in terms of magical powers, she unfortunately possesses none. Regarding her eyes, they are very distinctive, but Anastasia says that in reality, there is another girl named Jeanette who possesses the same eyes. Then she says, This doesn't mean anything to me. I must escape as soon as I gather the money. When I collect the money, I will immediately run away. She had a pouch of dinars, coins, with her, and she decided to hide it in the forest because the front security at the palace is very strict. She kept walking until she reached a certain place and wondered, It's not the Ruby Palace, so what is this place? She approached it more closely and entered, finding it completely empty. She remembers hearing some maids say that they were going to reinforce the security well and specifically search the princess's room. Therefore, she quickly ran under her bed, took her money, and went with it to the forest to hide it. However, after a few days, she returns once more to retrieve it. She searches for it left and right. At that moment, she finds that a squirrel has dug it out. She calls out, Wait, little squirrel! But it doesn't heed her and runs away quickly. Here, she decides to look for a peanut to offer it so it will leave her jewelry and eat the peanut instead. The plan was successful. This means that there is now no safe place in the forest. She thinks and says, I must find a safer place. Then she remembers that rented place and goes to it directly. She walks through its halls and finds no one. How can this towering place be shelterless and unknown to anyone, she wonders. Not only that, but she kept walking until she reached the main square, where she finds statues, perhaps made of pure gold. But here, the great surprise happens. She turns around and finds two large people who say, Since when was this small insect in our palace? But one of the people deduces that her eyes are exactly the same as his own. She says to him, Father, but we don't know now if he is her father or not. She then asks, What exactly is the story? Is this my father? Is this the Demon King's palace? Did I come to the wrong place? Where exactly can I get out of here? I want to escape quickly. The man tries to remember and eventually recalls a girl who is indeed riding a horse. He remembers her and says, You are Anastasia. Then he recalls what happened at that time when the servants were sitting and said she was a good girl named Anastasia, which is what her mother named her. He says to her, You have grown up a lot. Then he holds her cheeks and pinches them a few times. Then he tells his servant, Bring tea immediately. She tries to run away because she doesn't want to drink tea with him, but he catches her quickly. Then her jewels fall onto the floor. After that, they enter the palace, and the sitting arrangement was very awkward. Anastasia says, What a boring session. Does he want me to speak or say something? How long will I just sit here? He speaks to her and says, Are you always silent? Can't you speak? Come on, speak, Annie. I won't do anything to you. Finally, she speaks, and he hears her voice after a session of silence. He brings her cake and food, but she was very shy. His servant enters again, but he tells him to go outside. Then he talks to her about himself, revealing that he is the emperor who once caused chaos in that land, burned much, and misled people. But he is now no longer as he was before. He tells her, Come on, drink the tea and eat the food, Annie. She was nervous and said, What should I call him? What should I say to him? Should I call him father? Then she decides to address him by that name. Claude looked at her but did not answer, causing Anastasia to become tense because she had addressed him specifically as father. She feared he would immediately banish her, thinking she should have just called him Your Majesty the Emperor like anyone else. The scene then shifts to the chief maid, Lillian, talking with the other girls, telling them they must fan out to search for the princess. Suddenly, the princess appears before them, running and crying. The chief maid embraces her and asks where she had been, as she was extremely worried. The royal guard then speaks to Lillian, explaining that the emperor had informed him that he would be summoning his daughter again. Anastasia cries, hating the idea and not wanting to see him again. He had been so cruel before and she didn't know what he was trying to do. He had decided that he would personally supervise the princess from now on. But she resolved not to let him tempt her with sweets. Anastasia then goes with the chief maid, Lillian, to see her father, the emperor. The emperor welcomes her and tells her it's been a long time since they last met. She replies that he is right. She had the honor of meeting him last time 5 years ago. The emperor is surprised that she remembers that. Before he can finish speaking, Anastasia feels so nervous she wants to throw up. Her father is the emperor of the Obalian Empire, and everyone calls him a great man, but she knows he is cruel and greatly merciful, sarcastically. The emperor then speaks, saying that he was unable to care for her due to being busy with government affairs, and he entrusts her health and vitality to Lillian. Anastasia understands that he is lying. It's not that he couldn't care for her. If he had wanted to, her life would have been enjoyable. She just wants him to continue leaving her alone and let her return immediately. The Emperor continues, informing Lillian that he heard everything about the incident at the Ruby Palace. From now on, he will personally oversee the princess, and she will receive treatment appropriate for a princess. We move to the maid staff, where Hannah tells her friend Says that she never imagined the king would come to the Ruby Palace, and they are now certain that the princess's life will be filled with happiness. We then see the Emperor sitting with the princess at a garden table for breakfast. The princess is still nervous and thinks to herself that she was supposed to avoid her father and live quietly, as her future disaster is caused by meeting him. As long as she never meets him, she can change her future. Yet this is extremely frustrating. The maids place many sweets on the table. The princess is amazed and thinks this is indeed appropriate princess treatment. She thinks to herself that her father was very cold to her before, and she doesn't know what he is trying to do with her. Could it be poisoned? She resolves not to let this cake tempt her. The Emperor asks her why she hasn't eaten, saying he feels she suspects the sweets are poisoned. The princess is shocked that he might be able to read her thoughts. She tells him she likes cake, but Lillian warned her not to eat too many sweets or her teeth would rot. The Emperor is surprised since she ate some yesterday. However, she can't hold back any longer. She takes a bite of the cake and finds it incredibly delicious. Nothing has ever tasted this good. She can't believe she dropped her guard because of a small cake like this. She then decides to eat the whole cake, as it would be wasteful to leave any piece of it. At that moment, the servants and the Emperor's guard watch her from afar. Relieved that she seems to be relaxing a little, the Emperor asks his daughter to join him for a tea session every day. And so, the life of Athie, Anastasia, began, where she saw her father every day, even though she didn't know why he suddenly started playing the role of a happy family with her. This made her very tense. But every now and then, something nice would happen. The princess always tries to perfect things, but this only increases her tension. She tries to learn many things for her father, and every time she makes a mistake, she believes it's over for her. But for some reason, it seems her father has no intention of criticizing her. Perhaps he regrets what happened and is trying to be kind to her. And she believes she is not as afraid of her father as she was before. Anastasia sleeps, and in the morning she gets ready to go for a stroll in the imperial grounds, as she heard there were flowers by the lake. She goes out to her father happily, strolling in the garden and picking many flowers. She runs and plays in the garden with joy. Her father reaches her and tells her he will show her the way and take her in a boat. Lillian informs him that the princess is uncomfortable with water, but the princess reassures Lillian and asks her not to worry, saying she must do what her father asks of her. The Emperor says he will stay with her, so why is she worried? Or does she hate the idea? The princess replies that she didn't mean that at all. She wants to go with him anywhere. Indeed, the princess gets into the boat with her father alone. The princess is very scared when they are by themselves. He stares at her all the time, and she doesn't know what she should say. She is so tense that she can barely breathe. The Emperor asks what she is thinking. She becomes more nervous and tells him that the weather is beautiful, the lake is beautiful, and then tells him his hair is very bright and beautiful, admitting that his hair is indeed beautiful. Every time she sees something golden, she thinks of pure gold. The Emperor understands that she loves shiny things very much and tells her that she has her jewels and the day will come for her to take them. The princess says that time is passing slowly, and the wind carries the scent of flowers, which is a very pleasant feeling. Thinking about it now, she doesn't know how they are moving. They aren't rowing anything, yet the boat is moving. She believes this might be because of her father's magic. She looks at his clear blue eyes, like a blue sapphire. She wonders to herself if her father would have loved her if she could use magic. Then the princess sees a blue lotus flower and is captivated by its beauty and sweet fragrance. We see Athie, Anastasia, greatly captivated by the look of the flowers. She wants to touch and take the blue lotus, but she falls into the water. Something strong grips her leg. She calls for her father's help, but he does nothing for her. She then remembers what she dreamt, that because she broke the rules and used dark magic, she would spend the rest of her life in prison. She says, "This was supposed to be my fate always. Despite that, I held on to a little hope. I wished that he would accept me as his daughter." Finally, her father comes and saves her. Afterward, Athie wakes up with Lillian, Lily, by her side to check on her. When Athie realizes her father was the one who saved her, he uses his magic to dry her off. She is very happy that her father is doing all this for her. The Emperor then asks Felix to teach her to swim tomorrow, adding, "It won't be a long story if my daughter drowns." They return to the Ruby Palace and Athie is overwhelmed by the shock and a cold that has left her bedridden, but she keeps thinking about what happened that day. Lillian tells her that the flower is the dream lotus, which creates an illusion to lure living creatures. Its sole purpose is decoration. As long as there aren't many of them, they aren't dangerous. However, if you don't possess magical powers, you will be attracted by its allure. Athie tells her the problem is that she is very weak, but she doesn't want to drink any more of the medicine because it's too bitter. Lillian tells her she must take it, or she won't recover. At night, we see Athie's father by the lake, and then the girl appears, saying to him, "You came to see me?" He tells her that emotions like this were forgotten long ago, but it seems he doesn't hate that girl. Many hands surround Athie's father. We then see Felix very angry and wanting to help the king, saying, "May a shining light illuminate your path someday." Athie's father dismisses him. Afterward, we see Chess rush into Athie's room, saying that many maids have arrived to serve her. Athie is astonished when she sees them. Then Felix arrives, telling her, "I have been assigned to be your guard knight. I look forward to serving you." This concludes today's episode of this anime. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to receive all that is new. So this episode kicks off with Princess Athanasia dreaming. She's dozing off to this gorgeous voice, right? She opens her eyes and she's in this flower-filled garden. She spots her mom way off in the distance. She totally looks like a fairy from a storybook. Athanasia reaches out and calls to her, trying to give her a hug, but then bam, she wakes up crying her eyes out because she misses her mom so much. Felix shows up and scoops her up. She notices he's super early today. He tells her, His Majesty suggested you guys eat breakfast together. He wants to see you. Athanasia is like, yeah, right, my dad would never say that. She looks around and there are 0 knights today, which freaks her out. Felix tells her, we don't need him today. I'm here. I protect everyone, including your dad, and magic keeps this whole place safe. Felix sets her down and suggests she go wake up the Emperor because he'd be totally thrilled. He closes the door on her. She tries to get out, but nope. Felix has locked her in. She has no choice. She goes in and calls for her dad, getting distracted by this super shiny, golden map. She keeps calling for her dad, but no answer, until she finds him crashed out on a couch instead of his bed. She's confused, like why? She looks at him, then at a portrait of him, and realizes he looks totally different from the guy in her dreams. That guy is pure evil. She tries to wake him, touching his cheek, but he doesn't budge. She tries again, then gets mad and says, how dare you do all that stuff to me in my dreams, and starts yanking his ear and cheek to wake him up. Athanasia just keeps messing with her dad's face until his eyes pop open. She then sings to try and put him back to sleep. When Claude finally wakes up, he has breakfast with his daughter. Athanasia tells him, there's so much stuff in your palace I've never seen, it's super fun. Her dad replies that she should just explore and do whatever she wants in the palace. At that moment, Felix chimes in, informing Claude that Duke Alpheus will arrive any second and actually wants the princess present. Claude orders him to take the Duke to the meeting room, then asks his daughter to come here every day for breakfast before leaving. Athanasia gets stressed about having to come every day, but then she thinks about how her dad said she could explore the palace freely, so she gets up to wander around. When she goes into her dad's room, she sees tons of paintings of the Obelian imperial family. She needs to find her mom's picture because she's positive it has to be somewhere. She really wants to see her face. As she's walking around, she sees her dad's portrait, which confirms her mom's must be there too. She keeps looking until she finds it. Next, we switch to the palace ladies gossiping about the little princess and how Felix is in charge of her. They're wondering how they'll see an empress grow up who can't even use magic. The emperor is so chill that he doesn't even stress about stuff like this. Even a dancer could become a concubine. Suddenly, the emperor pops up right in front of them and orders them never to say that name again. Then we see the little princess in her carriage heading home, holding her mom's portrait. As she really looks at it, she remembers the fire that damaged it. She gets really sad about what happened, then thinks about her parents. She never realized her dad hated her mom this much. After that, she goes to sleep. The next morning, she goes to the servants and tells them she's eating breakfast with her dad. They show her the way. She sits down at the table, completely pumped to see her dad. Claude acts super cold, pretending he hasn't seen her. But she doesn't care because she does most of the talking anyway when they're together. She feels like her dad is bored when she talks, but she ignores that too. All she has to do is not bring up her mom. At that point, Claude asks her what she's thinking about. She asks him about his favorite tea. It smells amazing and she wants to try it. Felix immediately jumps in and tells her that the flavor would be way too strong for her. Athanasia gets sad, but Claude agrees to let her drink it, since there's no reason not to. When Felix puts the cup down, she takes a sip and finds it totally delicious, like flowers blooming in her mouth. Everyone gives her a weird look. Athanasia gets nervous, wondering if she said something she shouldn't have. Felix breaks the silence and tells her it's rice tea and her dad drinks it a lot because he loves it. It's a type of black tea from her mother Diana's homeland. Felix tells Ati again that it's rice tea, which His Majesty drinks a lot, a kind of black tea from Diana's home. Ati had said the same exact thing Diana did when she tasted it. Then the Emperor says, I don't recall anything like that, and tells Felix, you're running your mouth too much today, leave us alone. We see Ati is bummed because her dad clearly doesn't want to talk to her about her mom. The Emperor then tells Ati, you're too young for tea, drink milk instead, and leaves her. Ati gets upset and thinks to herself that he hates her so much and that even in the future, he won't need her. Ati cries and burns all her pictures and drawings. The next day, Ati is sitting alone at the table. The maid apologizes that the Emperor isn't there because he has other business and official duties, so she should start eating first. Ati waits for her dad all the time. Felix shows up in the evening, and as he arrives, she leaves. She then hears the maid talking to Felix. Lately, her appetite has been terrible. She won't even eat sweets. The Emperor's behavior the other day must have shocked her. When Diana was mentioned, his mood totally changed. He doesn't want to talk about her. But I'm sure the princess wants to know about her mom. Felix replies, but the Emperor's whole mental state was messed up 5 years ago. There are no remaining statues or portraits that show what Diana looked like. Ati stands far away, listening to them talk about her mom. The maid says she wanted to see her mom. Felix interrupts her, saying, the Emperor can use transfer memory magic. Let's try it. He'll agree for the princess, I'm sure of it. Ati screams at them. Don't do it. Don't say anything to him. If you talk to him about Diana, he'll hate me even more. She cries and cries, and the maid calms her down. Felix tells her, the Emperor doesn't hate you or Diana. If you don't believe me, come with me to the Sapphire Palace. Remember when I told you why His Majesty doesn't have a knight assigned to him? The real reason is that he casts protective magic to ensure his safety. Anyone who tries to enter without permission gets blocked. That's why the Sapphire Palace doesn't need guards, and no one tries to get close. This is the extent of his protective magic. Watch from far away. Felix demonstrates that the barrier won't let anyone hostile get in. He concludes, the Emperor trusts you and Diana. There's no way he hates you. After that, Claude uses his power to restore the images to how they were. He talks to himself, saying, I was able to forget. But he looks at the pictures, and Athanasia walks in. She tells him, actually, Ati hasn't seen you for 2 days. So Felix said that if Ati came to see you, you'd actually see mommy's Ati, but if you were busy, Ati would just leave. As she's walking out, her dad, Claude, grabs her and asks, Didn't you rest up? She's confused by his move and wonders, what is he doing? Why did he suddenly pick me up? Then he takes her to the bedroom, lies down on the bed, and tells her to sleep. She tells him she's not sleepy. He asks her to sing that song, the one that drives away his nightmares. Athanasia wonders to herself, does he mean the song from that time when he was pretending to be asleep? She tells him she forgot it. He asks what would help her remember. She tells him, just give up, Papa, I really forgot. He tells her that disobeying an imperial order is a serious crime. She thinks to herself, is that a threat? She answers him, okay, maybe I do remember. I'll sing for you now. She starts singing, and her dad, Claude, uses his power to make some stars appear. Athanasia falls asleep next to him. He says to himself, what a sassy girl. She's just like her mother. Athanasia dreams of her mother and father in the garden and thinks, I didn't know Papa smiled like that. It's like her mom is saying, this is true happiness. And that's how the episode ends. If you liked the video, hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you get all our new stuff. Hello girls, hello boys, welcome to a new video on the channel. Today we are all ready with the summary of chapter number 5 of A Charming Princess. Our little princess Athanasia has grown a little more. She has new problems to face, especially the fact that she doesn't have magic. Although her father loves her more and more, so there's no drama on that side. Of course, she's doing some things with magic books that could get her into a lot of trouble. After that, this guy who was investigating the whole time shift thing has already shown up. But anyway, tell us what you thought of this chapter number 5. Please leave your likes, comments, and you can also subscribe to support the channel. The scene shifts to Cloud having to get up after that sweet nap together because Felix says there's someone looking for him, and it seems Cloud has an idea of who it is. And Athanasia wakes up too, from another perspective. We go to the Emperor's throne and see that the person who needed to talk to Cloud is called Alpheus, who asks him that since the princess is already old, she should find a playmate, or someone to help her study. And of course, he suggests his son, Ezekiel, who is 3 years older than Princess Athanasia, and who could help him with the whole issue of raising her. Obviously, this Alpheus wants to be close to the Emperor, to power. After that, we see that Athanasia arrives at the throne and knows that this guy doesn't have very good intentions, that he simply wants to get closer to Cloud. Since he was the one who presented that day when Athanasia was exiled, he presented this girl named Jeanette Margarita, whom he baptized the true princess of the kingdom of Obelia. Just like that, she approaches her father, sits on his lap to say that she doesn't need any kind of friend or help to study, that she has learned a lot, and yes, the truth is that she is a pretty smart girl, Athanasia, and it is clear that she doesn't need anyone else. But the ugly one doesn't shut up and asks her if she is also doing very well in the subject of magic, because he knows that obviously the princess can't use it. So that was a low blow. After that, Cloud gave in and told her that for now his daughter didn't need anyone. But this thing about magic is true. Athanasia may know a lot about the world, its laws, Obelia, but she has no magic, and sooner or later she believes that someone could challenge her for the kingdom, for everything she has, in a duel of magic, and she wouldn't be able to do anything. Therefore, she gets access to a magic item that spins when it detects a person's magic power, and the faster it spins, the more magic power the person has. But it doesn't do anything with Athanasia, which is a bit strange, since her father Cloud has the greatest magic power in the entire kingdom, and her mother was a magic dancer. So it's absolutely strange that she can't use it. From another perspective, we see Lillian walking along the city's roads, buying some fruits and things for the princess, and everyone is obviously talking about her. It's just a matter of time before they obviously name her after the princess. It's been 2 years since they last tried to get Athanasia a study buddy. The scene shifts to the library while Athanasia was reciting what appears to be a poem with her father listening attentively. The ugly one, Alpheus, comes to him again, telling him that now Athanasia has grown up, that every time he sees her she is more charming, and that if now she is ready to have a person to study with, but that it does not need to be his son, since he has a girl his age named Jeanette Margarita. Athanasia doesn't want to hear anything about that woman and wants her completely away from her, and her father too. So she starts telling Alpheus that she knows much more than that Jeanette, that she can't help him with any kind of studies, and she starts reciting to him what Obelia's constitution is, article by article. Come on, she's an impressive girl. So Alpheus doesn't really have much else to offer that's useful. And not only that, but this supposed Jeanette also has some similar tastes to Athanasia, since a famous book has just arrived from another kingdom, and Jeanette is waiting for it to be translated so she can read it. And Athanasia gives her one as a gift to take to Jeanette, and it was just to flex. Why? Because on the cover it says that it was translated by herself, by Athanasia. Yes, she is an extremely intelligent girl. She simply asks Alpheus to bend down, and she touches his hair, telling him it's as soft as a white bunny, telling her to remember that she doesn't need anyone by her side. Silly. From another perspective, Cloud watches all this and gives her a book that Athanasia had been asking for. The scene shifts to Athanasia once again in the forest, trying to unleash her magical powers, since this book was a grimoire containing spells, incantations from a rather ancient wizard, whose name had already been lost. And one of those spells served to unleash or reveal a person's magical power. So Athanasia tries it, makes the seal on the ground, and the book disappears. It goes to another location. And here, Athanasia collides with this guy who had been investigating this temporal change that had happened. When he sees what he felt led him to Athanasia, he believes he was wrong, that she is not the one who made all this temporary change. After that, Felix arrives to talk to Athanasia, to take her away from there. But this guy with a snap of his fingers makes Felix forget what he was doing and leaves there, leaving them alone. And where this guy, who calls himself Lucas, who is the most powerful magician of all, says not to do that spell, that incantation that was in the book, because it could bring bad things, and he leaves there. Athanasia then say, and he puts out his hand, he looks at Lucas, and he leaves there. Afterwards, Athanasia tries to tell Felix that he had been bewitched, but he doesn't believe him. And with all this, Felix goes to Cloud, telling him that maybe, just maybe, the little princess needs a friend her own age since, well, she needs a boy so she can talk about boy things. Obviously apologizing and saying that he has nothing to do with the noble Alpheus, that he is not supporting him in offering it to someone or anything like that. It's just a comment, and Cloud looks at him and says that he's basically trying to tell him that none of them can entertain a child. So Felix gets offended and runs out of there crying. The scene shifts to the afternoon. Athanasia arrives at tea time with her father, where she is especially delighted to eat cakes. A chocolate one that is her favorite, but which lately she goes to the kitchen to look for but never finds. Come on, they're stealing his chocolate cake and he doesn't know who it is, but his dad always has it. Here, Cloud directly asks Athanasia if she needs to have a friend, if she wants one, that she can choose it herself if she wants. But Athanasia tells him that it is not necessary since her father, Lilian, and Felix are more than enough. She's fine. And basically, Athanasia wants to be calm until she turns 18 because she has to continue researching how to use her magic if she doesn't really have it. After that, he uses this book again in the spell that this suspicious wizard had told him not to do, and we see how some chains break. This book showed what her life was going to be like, which Athanasia dreamed about every night, and that's why she knew everything that was going to happen. Some magical chains are broken and something happens. But here again appears this mysterious magician who calls himself Lucas, telling him that he had told him not to do it. He also asks him who his father is, because it is obvious that he has Obelian blood, and begins to name some very, very ancient kings. And it has been 400 years since the last king, appointed by this mysterious magician who calls himself Lucas. But that's the least of Lucas's concerns. He simply approaches Athanasia, looks at her eyes, and tells her that in that Obelian family, the bluer and lighter the eyes, the more powerful they are in magic. It is very strange that Athanasia does not own anything of it. Lucas uses his magic to see what secrets Athanasia is hiding, but she continues to resist. After that, here, Lucas drops her from the heights to make her talk, but she is saved by a black cloud which escapes when Lucas threatens her. We don't know where the cloud came from, but it saved Athanasia. Obviously, Athanasia sees that this guy wants to hurt her, so she runs away from there. But she can't escape from Lucas. And in fact, Lucas excuses here Athanasia remembers what protective magic spells were like and casts one. So yes, a magical power has just been activated, and we were assuming that she couldn't possess magic. Lucas stands still and simply breaks this defensive spell and is left thinking that they will soon see each other again. After that, Athanasia, who is running through the forest to see her father to tell him everything that had happened, ends up fainting and also coughing up blood. Something bad is happening to him. Obviously, Felix and Cloud are very worried. Thus ends chapter number 5 of A Charming Princess. The truth is that a very good, very intriguing chapter 5. More years have passed. Obviously, Athanasia's relationship with her father is becoming more and more solidified. She's already the princess no matter what, but she's tried to improve in every way she can so that she won't be displaced. Still, what it doesn't have is magic, and it's necessary. So he's trying to do everything, and it seems like what he just did now caused him a lot of damage. Let's hope he's okay, but we'll see in the next chapter. Tell us what you thought of this chapter number 5. Leave your comments, your likes, and nothing else. Thank you very much for watching.